people. We will tell you what's really happening. If the next 4 years, Trump is awesome, if he got some insight the last time because he doesn't want to look like a fool and he turns this around and becomes the best president we've ever had, I will be the first one to say when he does good. I'm telling you, my job is not to just shit on Republicans. It is not. My father was Republican. My aunt and uncle, who I love dearly, Republicans. My job and our job here on the Titus podcast is to report the fucking truth. Not like MSNBC, which is owned by a fucking right-winger. Not by CNN, which is bought by a billionaire. We're just fucking a bunch of douchebags trying to figure out how to get through just like you. So please tune into the Titus podcast. Also, do me a favor. Go see the shows. Go buy some of our merch. Because we don't charge you to watch. A lot of guys do a Patreon. We don't.
Yeah.
Aren't you worried? Look, I've never. Trump's the only politician that got elected, and the first time and now that I have been frightened that he got elected. I wasn't frightened when W got elected. I wasn't frightened when HW got elected. I think I voted for W once because of the 9/11 thing. I wasn't afraid when Clinton got elected. I'm afraid this guy's malevolent.
Yeah, am I worried? Yes. Comparison to 2016, a lot more. Because in 2016, like I said, it's like, well, what's he going to do? What's the worst that could happen? And like you had said, surrounding himself with smart people because he's not a politician. That's the best way to run a cabinet. Is like, I don't know exactly what to do. Let me get the biggest and brightest, which he said, I got the biggest and brightest. And then they all left him.
Yeah, they all said, holy shit. Yeah. They were like, this dude's out of his mind.
So yeah, because of he's just so unstable.
Yes.
And with everything that's happening in the world around him, this is not just an American problem. This is a Russia, Ukraine, North Korea is now fighting with
China.
Russia. And then you got China and Taiwan. And then you've got Israel and Gaza with all the stuff that's happening. And then you put this guy attached to all of that, having to make a decision who to side with, who to be with, who to support, who to defend. I'm like, that's what makes it unstable.
It's a biblical perfect storm.
Yeah.
It's literally Revelations. So wait, so the most powerful nation in the world that has a military bigger than what the next six to get put together.
Times
so
six.
we are that massive. So that kind of power, that kind of destructive capability that we have, in what you just laid out scared me, because you just laid out that we've got all these fires burning around the world right now.
Yeah.
We've got all these, and then we got, on top of that, we've got climate change.
Mm-hmm.
We've got all these companies that want to keep pouring poisons back into the water. We've got Elon Musk who has connections to all of our tech.
And we've got Project 2025.
Project
The
2025.
first thing is to replace all of the federal employees who aren't Trump loyalists and the cabinet members who are just for Trump, which there's no checks and balances anymore within the civic arena to say because like we talked about before, when a president takes over, Democrat to Republican, Republican to Democrat, they come in, they've got about 4,000 cabinet positions that they have to fill with their own people. Those are the heads of. And then under those,
CIA, DOJ.
Right. And under those are all the civic
FBI.
employees that don't have an attachment to any party. They work for the American people. So those are the consultants, the doctors, the lawyers, the military, all of those
Fauci.
people. All of those people then dedicate their time to then go to the people who were appointed by the president to go, this is what he's asking. This is what we know. So please tell him. He's erasing all of that because he believes the federal workers are the enemy within. He just wants to replace them with Trump loyalists who will then turn around and go, what is this? And they'll tell him. And he's like, nah, it's not it. Well, don't worry about it. And they'll go, you're right. Okay. Instead of raising the red flag, which their job is to protect all of us. Mm-hmm. That's our checkpoint. He's getting rid of all of them to create an army of loyalists who will just do his bidding. And that is more frightening because that's when you're like, well, how's this going to affect me? Well, we talk about RFK doing the head of the
the
CDC.
crazy brainworm guy.
Go wild.
Captain Brainworm is going to now be in charge of your health, the government health.
Gutting Homeland Security, gutting this, not secrets, gutting the FBI.
Yep, he said he wanted to do that. Gutting the DOJ.
Cutting the public education system and then funneling that money to private organizations, creating a
Killing
Christian
the
nationalism.
education department to put Bibles back in schools.
Yeah. So therefore, you're like, well, how's this going to affect me, mom and pop, in wherever in my state? It's like, well, if you have a child who goes to a public school in the next 4 years,
or a grandchild,
you may not have a public school to go to. You may be forced to go to a private school, and the money that was supposed to be paid to public goes to private. But you have to come with a Bible. They have to learn religion. And well, I'm not Catholic. Too bad. These are the Christian nationalism stuff. It's all in Project 2025.
Yep.
And they told you this is what's going to happen
we
on
told
day
you.
one.
They told you. This is, by the way, they told you a couple years ago. Like, when did the project? This year, like 2 years ago?
It happened right after. Well, it's been around since this. They started it way back before Reagan and Bush, but the 2016 is when they ramped up the new one, because when Trump was elected in 2016, nobody thought he was going to win. They believed on the polls that Clinton had this. So when Trump won, his cabinet was not ready for the transition. No. They didn't have places and people to fill these positions. And there was 2 years into his cabinet, and 2 years into his presidency, we still didn't have an international foreign affairs person.
Right.
So they're like, that day one gets solved. So right now, they're working from now until January to implement and find all of the people to immediately on day one just go, hi, bye. Are you a Trump loyalist? Yes, you stay, you all go, and then it just all moves in seamlessly in January. That's their plan. That's part of, again, Project 2025, if anybody paid any attention to it.
Didn't I say this section was supposed to be giving me some hope?
Yes, giving you
hope. I said I was supposed to get hope on
Yes.
this section, right? So I told, so again, I had two people call me about the upside. Titus, you always talk me through this. Because they know that I keep up with it because of this, and you're actually on top of it. Thank you, man. We have you on more. That's really because I
know a few things, but not like it's
you know as much. So I said, what? I said, if you know history, what fixes this? And he goes, what do you mean? I go, well, if you know history, what's the one thing that will change this? And he goes, what? And I go, a war, a war, massive destruction, people, massive body count. And then people wake up to the fact that, wow, we've been dumb for a long time. It's what happened in the 40s after World War II. These guys came home and they were like, we can't do this again. I saw horrors I don't want to see anymore. You kids are going to college. You're going to learn how to be smart. And that happened. So that happened in the 50s. Those kids got smart. They went to college. They got graduated. They were in the 60s and they were in their 20s. And they started going, oh, fuck. We got Kennedy. We started having this progressive agenda because we realized that the World War II didn't fucking work. And now we realize we had all these fucking bombs now. All right, let's get smart. Let's have critical thinking. Let's figure this out. Then Kennedy gets shot. All of a sudden, everything breaks off. They come in and they start Vietnam. Now Vietnam's coming in. Now you got all these educated kids who are like, no. We were taught by our fucking grandfathers and our fathers that you don't fucking go to war. This is the dumbest shit ever. There's no upside. And then they got sent to Vietnam. So then you had this really well educated proletariat, which someone told Reagan when he was governor of California, you can't have an educated proletariat because what happens then is you have a bunch of people that are going to protest you. They will not do what you say. So what happened is that Reagan as governor, like you used to be able to go to college in California for $300.
Yeah.
It's 5 times, 10 times that now. But Reagan did that then. He went from 300 to like 3,000. Then when $3,000 was a lot of money. So Reagan actually cut our education budget. Well, what's happened over the years is we've just gotten stupider. We've just gotten more dumb and more dumb and more dumb. So then you get the next generation. Well, that generation got basically the 70s and 80s, which was just disco and gay people. And that's how they diverted us. We danced and we had fun. And then Clinton came in. When Clinton came in, we got the personal computer. The personal computer we had all. Now you got to remember when the personal computer came out, even I was a dumb kid at the time. And I thought, wow, we are all going to have access to any and everything. Anything. How brilliant will we be? Well, we used it for video games and porn. That's what we did. So We still don't use it for anything. If we shop on it, it's just basically a catalog. The computer has turned into a fucking catalog. Yeah. And now AI is making it where you don't even have to learn anything to write papers anymore.
Well, actually, let me jump in. It's been weaponized.
Right. So then the computer's now been used as a weapon. It's no longer this magical thing that was going to give us all the knowledge in the world because no one wants to fucking work that hard. So we're still the same dumb people with all this technology. And we have video games where kids are learning that they can kill 55,000 people on the video game. And if they get hurt, they just hit reset. So they have no concept of war. They have no concept of pain. On top of that, then you go to fucking John Wick movies and you see a guy kill 10,000 people in an hour and a half and you walk out with your breath smelling like popcorn. We are living in the darkest of times and it's not even prevalent. You don't even notice it. So now you got my kid who's coming out of college and Jet's in college right now. He wants to be a comedian and he's working in college and like that. But he plays video games and he doesn't even think like this. So we have these kids that were raised with sports that don't have a score. Mm-hmm. They were never popped in the back of the head randomly for no reason. They were told they were perfect. They were told they were special. They have no fear. And they all get a trophy. And there's no good or bad. And so now we have that generation. Well, because of that generation, what's going to happen is they're going to accept going to war because they don't understand it because it wasn't passed down to them. It wasn't fucking passed down to them that this is a fucking nightmare. Even Iraq. Do you remember the Iraq war? What was going on? We were losing, at one point we were losing, I don't know how many we lost. We were losing like 1,000 people a week at one point in Iraq. And it wasn't on the news. Yeah. It was like bang. And then, now let's go to Bob with the weather. It was like that. So we've even, because of Vietnam, because they used to show body bags in Vietnam. Big thing that flipped Vietnam was they were showing coffins and body bags.
And they used to scroll the soldiers' names.
Yes, they used to scroll the soldiers' names, right.
On the news.
So, but Iraq went on forever. Afghanistan went on forever, but we didn't get the daily body count.
Yeah.
And so because we didn't get the daily body count, the fucking Boeing and McDonnell Douglas and Raytheon kept fucking building weapons. So now we've got this generation that doesn't understand the war, has never been taught it, and they're going to have kids. You get all these people that are talking about, we don't want to teach history. Well, what are you talking about? You have to teach history. It's like watching your relatives put a penny in a light socket. You learn what not to do.
You can't cherry pick.
No, you can't cherry pick history, no. And so we've fucked ourselves, and it happens throughout history over and over again. And the problem I'm having with all of it is that we did it to ourselves.
Yeah.